League of Lit fam, welcome to another episode of the 10-year Jules Monty re-review here at League of Lit, where we discuss books, adaptations, and anything else we wish to talk about and tie it to lit because we can.
And it is a truth universally acknowledged that we are not a spoiler-free podcast, so
watch at your own peril because we're really getting into the good, dramatic stuff of Jules and Monty, and we're not going to hold back.
Welcome to another fun round of all of this as we have been diving into and picking apart and sharing all the things that we love about this series. Let's just hop right in, shall we? Let's do it.
Episode 13 is, I think, the last time we see Jules and Monty together. I'm pretty sure it's the last time we see Jules and Monty together. So it's very bittersweet. It's essentially the morning after Monty has come to Jules and they have spent the night together. Don't know what happened. Don't need to know what happened. And he's gonna have to leave because he's being banished from the University of Verona, and it's kind of bittersweet.
Where we get to start with this episode is Monty leaving a video message for Jules because he wasn't sure that he was actually going to get to talk with her and truly have final goodbyes before he had to go have his meeting with the dean, because he knows what is coming for him, and he shares in this message that they had a whole conversation about it, and
I guess he thinks it's possible the last time he'll ever speak to her. It's kind of a suspension of disbelief in that because, obviously, even if he was expelled, there's the possibility that he and Jules could see each other after the fact, but, the source material is what it is, and we just have to be aware of that in this time, and just let that go.
You can tell based off of things by context clues and everything that a lot happened last night, and Monty hints at it, but he remains clean about it. He doesn't go into any kind of detail. You can see he blushes kind of about it. It's adorable, it's cute, it's first love, ooh, jitters and adorableness, and yay.
So Monty's kind of having this whole moment. He's definitely in his feels about having to leave and the possibility of being expelled from the University of Verona. He definitely seems like he's kind of about to tell Jules that he loves her via the camera. Jules wakes up. And there's a lot of Shakespearean language in this episode in particular, and that's because, of course, as we know, they chose to use the Shakespearean language when you were drunk or when you were in love. And so clearly these two people who are very much in love and having what I would say is a passionate and very intimate moment with each other, because it is something that is so sad, and the possibilities are really endless of what could happen for the two of them after this. It's a lot of Shakespeare, and so you're really getting the mixture of the Shakespeare and the modern language. You're getting a lot of the, it is not yet day, 'twas the lark, and, 'twas not the lark, it was the nightingale that woke you. And another example, I think, as Kara's spoken about, of the kind of immaturity of the relationship, which again is very much from the source material, is, and I think it's made worse in this time frame, the immaturity, is the I must go and live or stay and die. There's a lot of just questionable language used in the source material that when you bring it into the modern light doesn't really work necessarily, but because it's so romantic and because we're suspending the disbelief that obviously if Monty stayed he wasn't gonna die, but it is, to him, it's a death of sorts, and I think that's kind of the point there. Now, as I said earlier, I'm pretty sure this is the last time we see Jules and Monty on screen together, and so I think them including the line "thinkest thou we shall ever meet again" is so important because, clearly, obviously in the source material they don't see each other again. The next time Romeo sees Juliet, he thinks that she's dead. And the next time Juliet sees Romeo, he is in fact dead, or he's dying, depending on the iteration that you're watching or whatever. And so it's interesting that they chose to insert that particular bit of Shakespearean language because I think for the audience it is supposed to be kind of a clue that no, because it is in fact based on the source material. And while, obviously they could have gone any way that they wanted to in the end, they do choose to still end it tragically. Not as tragically as the original, but still tragically in the fact that, as far as we're aware, Jules and Monty never see each other again. Juliet kind of has a little moment. She's sort of talking to the camera, talking to Fate, which is in the source material as well. And Cliff knocks on the door, comes inside. And it's interesting because we only see their dynamic so many times in Jules and Monty. It's interesting to see their dynamic at the beginning of him coming inside. And to kind of see, there is the brotherly, sisterly love there. And then the camera cuts to Nancy.
So we get to see how right here at the end, Nancy takes over. She cuts off what we were getting to see because after Monty leaves, Jules decides to sit down and have a conversation with the camera. And then Cliff arrives, and everything seems to be fine from what we can see as an audience. But then Nancy injects herself in the footage and goes on about how, she doesn't believe that what we have not gotten to see should not go unseen, but she's not sure about sharing it right now. And
I remember watching this when I watched it for the first time, and understanding where we were in the source material, but not knowing exactly how Ed and Imogen and everybody had decided to sort of input all of that into Jules and Monty. And when Nancy interrupts just a little bit of what we see of Jules and Cliff, it definitely gave me the idea that nothing good was about to happen.
like, this is where the cleverness of Imogen and Ed and their entire production team is really starting to shine a little bit more, because how do you take what is in the source material and make it fit a modern day setting and not necessarily go in the direction that is laid out for you? Because I will go ahead and tell you that there is no death at the end. There is no death at all in this adaptation, but the weight that exists with the death of the source material, that is still very much present in the way that they take it and the way that they modernize this play. So that is what we have for episode 13. We are definitely getting into the heart of the tragedy, and the emotional weight is definitely present. So we will see you next episode. Thanks for tuning in to this very special edition of League of Lit.
Make sure that you follow us at League of Lit Podcast on Instagram and League of Lit Pod on TikTok.
If you have any suggestions for an episode, feel free to leave a comment at leagueoflit.tumblr.com.